How's it going, my cog people? DrSlaking, the Slacking Doctor, back with the second cogcast. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this? That I called them the cogcasts in the playlist. I didn't do it in the title. I should have done.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
but I like it a lot.
It's excellent. I should need to change the title. Anyway, cogcast. Yeah, that's what we're calling it. Episode 2 of the cogcast, and I'm joined by AquariusZ. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to, I guess we're calling this the codcast now, episode 2. We're going to have a little bit of story time. We're going to recap some of the week 1 games, and then we're going to look ahead towards the battles that we have coming up.
Yeah, so, right. Story time is not really related to Draft League. Those of you that watch my channel know that essentially now I'm just an introer that has battles at the end of my intros after I tell my stories. And I'm not uploading right now, so you get my story in the cogcast instead. So I have had... And my brain's going to be a bit scrambled for this, which is why I wanted to bring it up. Because I have watched all the games, I do know everything that happened, but I might struggle to pull things out because I have had the shittest start to this week. It has been going badly. So let me tell you what's been happening, right? We have 2 cars here. Right? I own a 1988 Toyota MR2, so however old that is, even older than me. That's how old my car is. And Katie has a 2000 Toyota Yaris. Doesn't really matter. We bought it for her to learn to drive in. I drive her car a lot because it's newer, more reliable. Fine. Monday, I go to work. I park in a very public car park, and I get on a bus that then drives me into the town where I work. Bath, which you've been to, right, when you came to visit England. Lovely, like, historic town. Very posh, very nice, wealthy area.
Yeah.
Get on the
Beautiful
bus.
architecture.
Lovely, right? Very peaceful. So I park up outside the town because you're not really supposed to drive into the town. Get on the bus, go into the town on the bus. I come home after working all day, or get back to the car park, get in my car, sit and eat my bagel, because I'm starving after work, so I sit and eat my bagel, right? And I'm like, I've got so much work to do when I get home, I've got to do all my uni work, but I've got to eat my bagel. So sit and eat my bagel, and I start the car, and it sounds horrifically loud. Like, it sounds like a tractor. I'm like, what the hell is this? And, like, me being me, I'm like, fuck it. If it's not on fire, I'll drive it. So I drive out, and I start driving home. And everyone is looking at me, like, cars are backing away from me because the car is so loud. And I think that I can hear metal scraping on metal, and I can smell petrol. And I'm like, if that sparks, I'm dead. I'm exploding if that sparks. So I pull over. I'm like, I'm not driving this. This isn't safe. And I call the breakdown cover that we have, right? This is at 4:30. I call them, and I say to them, "Can you come in and recover me and tow me home? I'm not sure this is safe." And they say, "Yeah, sure. We'll be there within 50 minutes, under an hour." 2.5 hours later, they call me. No, sorry, 20 minutes later, they call me back. And they say, "You are in Ipswich, aren't you?" Now, for those of you that aren't in Britain, Ipswich is essentially the east coast, and I'm on the western border by Wales. So they could not be more the opposite side of the country to me. I'm like, no, I'm not there. So you've sent out a recovery vehicle to the wrong side of the country. So then, anyway, 2.5 hours go past, and they ring me back, and they're like, "Yeah, we know we said we'd be there in less than an hour, and it's been 2.5 hours that you've been sat there with no phone battery, no books, nothing to do, in the middle of nowhere, but we're not going to be there for another 2.5 hours now." So it's 5 hours since I broke down, and I'm like, nah, fuck it, I will die. So I just drove the car home. I was like, if I explode, I explode. I'm not waiting another 2.5 hours. I'm not doing that. I'm hungry. So I drove home.
Clearly you didn't explode. Thank God.
No, I got home. I'm like, right, fuck it. So yesterday, I call around some garages. I get the car booked into the garage, right? This morning, I drive the car to the garage. I was supposed to be going to meet Sean for a Nando's, as you know, later today. I cancelled that because last night, I took my car out. And when I came out, my car has pop-up and down headlamps. And they wouldn't go back down when I came back, and the electrics were going wrong, and the window wipers weren't working properly, and it always rains here, so the electrics in my car, gone. So I'm like, fuck, my car's ruined. Katie's car sounds like a tractor. So I take her car to the garage this morning, and when it gets to the garage, they call me, and they say, where was this car left? And I said, it was left in a public car park. Why? They said, well, someone has got under your car, and they've cut out the catalytic converter and half your exhaust, and they've stolen it. And I was like, it was parked in a muddy car park in the pissing rain with puddles underneath it and everything. They're like, yeah, that's what they're doing nowadays, though, because they're worth a lot of money. I'm like, what? So someone near Bath in this lovely area decided to steal half my fucking exhaust and the catalytic converter. So I'm like, the mechanic, I'm like, oh, how much is it going to cost? He's like, well, it's an expensive part. That's why they steal it. So you're looking at over £300 to do the work. We bought the car for £900. We've just spent £150 doing other work on it. We're now going to have to spend $300 repairing this. It's like, we'll have spent almost as much as the car was worth fixing the fucking thing because some prick stole half my exhaust. So I spent half the day today on the phone to the police and the insurance company and shopping around to see if we could just buy another car for less than all of this is going to cost by the time the insurance pays out. And
Sure, yeah.
So that has been my start to this week.
Is it not looking good in terms of that option? Or no.
When I had a look, I was like, I can't afford to go and get a better car. I can't. So I've just had to say to the garage, I will pay. We'll just pay to get the work done. So we're essentially, someone might as well have come and stolen about £400 from us because that's how much it's going to cost us to repair the work. And I'm just, and I have no car. I have to get to work on Friday, and I have no car right now. So I'm just praying that they can get the work done before I have to go to work on Friday. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. So it's like that's what I have watched the games, I promise. And I know who won the games in the COG experiment this week. But all of that has been pushed out of my brain by trying to be like, how the fuck am I going to get to work? Like, what am I going to do? Because I don't live where
that sounds very stressful.
I don't live where there's trains or anything like that. So yeah, that's my story time. It's messed up, isn't it?
That is... Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more optimistic of a story. That was depressing.
No, I'm British. All we do is complain and talk about the rain.
Do I need to fear that? Is thievery very common in Britain?
Yes. No, I don't know. Donald Trump says that we're all stabbing each other, but I've never been stabbed, so I'm not really sure. Who knows, really?
We're all shooting each other, so... I mean...
Yeah. Maybe that says something about the British people that we're willing to get kind of up close for our murders. You know, maybe there's an anger that we have inside of us. We don't want to do it from a distance.
Yeah, I mean that or just tighter gun laws.
Yeah, well, no, it can't possibly be that. It must be a national rage.
That's true.
Right,
y'all are more confrontational. I don't even think that's true. I think Americans are more confrontational. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Right now, I'm pretty confrontational. Well, I would love to confront the person that stole half my exhaust.
I'm going to Finland in a few weeks, and I was told that everyone in Finland are like the least confrontational people of all time. Like they won't make eye contact. They like want to be like super distant from you. Like they like don't want to like get the fuck away from me type shit.
Sounds like my kind
that's going to be a little bit of a culture shock.
People. I know two things about Finland. One, I believe, and this is very topical right now, I believe they're the only country that have beaten Russia in a war in modern times. Because I think Russia tried invading Finland, and that's when they invented the Molotov cocktail the Finns did to repel the Russians. That's my one thing. And then my other thing is that they have shitloads of saunas. And I watched a TV show where they went to like a McDonald's and had a sauna in the McDonald's. And I was like,
I learned about this just a few days ago. Is that like they like invented it, or like I don't know, like it's a Finnish thing, and they like
a huge cultural
Elias was telling me, he was like, Vepsis was telling me, he was like, yeah, like virtually every like house has a sauna. Some apartments have a sauna.
It's mad.
And like, you know, most like buildings have a sauna. And I'm like, what? Like that's insane. And imagine like leaving your like cubicle to go to a sauna in the same building. Like
it's very un-British as well, because here the second it stops raining and the sun comes out, we all take all our clothes off, sunburn, and complain that it's too hot. So the idea of wanting a sauna is like, but why? Like, but we hate
that.
That
is super strange.
We also hate the cold. We just hate everything. Anyway,
that's not what we're here for. We're here for the COG experiment. Okay, so I think we should start with the game that we commentated over and the one we were talking about last week, which was Knots versus Razor.
Well, before we get into that, though, I do just want to say the support from everyone has been awesome. The response has been fantastic. Like, people have been commentating, like, this is my favorite commentary pair, or this person's commentary styles worked for me, or this person's commentary style didn't work for me, which is fine. Like, it's been really, really interesting to watch as a kind of experiment, which, you know, was half the point, to see like what people are resonating with, what they're vibing with, and yeah, it's honestly like I've loved it. I've really loved the responses and the reception from the community. So thank you to everyone for that to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've also been, you know, managing the COG sort of Twitter, asking questions. What was your favorite battle? You know, how'd you like this commentary pair? And the amount of reception there has been really great too. So we're seeing it on all different platforms, including people on Discord just kind of saying, this is really cool.
Yeah.
People liking to see it. I really think this sort of commentated style is very innovative and very good. We're seeing it here. The TBL tournament just happened over the weekend, which is also going to happen this weekend, and there was live commentating there. So I think this is a great idea you've had, Matt. I think it's absolutely like brand new.
Yeah.
And exciting.
I can take none of the credit though, because you guys have put in all the hard work, done all the good commentary, and our battle, which I was in charge of recording, was probably the least edited and the least polished. And
that's what I love. It's like every single person who commentated these games added their own touch to it. Like Shea made his layout, like Incog, and Matt did all of the little animated things. I think a lot of that was Incog. Irish and Otto sort of flipped the screen. I know that wasn't intentional, but I actually thought that was a really cool touch.
Worked really well.
And as well as on top of that, like did team preview things, and I just think like all the 4 games we had this week were very unique, both in terms of the battles themselves, but in terms of like the synergy the commentators had. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, more commentator pairs in the future innovating and things. If you all don't know, like we're going to have completely different pairs next week and the week after. Like we have a ton of different people lined up in this project, and we're really, really thankful for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I think we very much wanted to make this like a communal effort, and we very much wanted to give an opportunity to people that wanted it and that we believed in. So like it's been really exciting, and the first game obviously was the best commentated game because we were on it.
Of course.
When I found out, actually, because I was speaking to Knots afterwards, when we were hacked out even more than I realized in the game, because apparently Razorclaw messaged Knots afterwards apologizing, and they agreed that the hacks did matter. And in the video, I tried to be a good sport and say that you hadn't cheated us, you hadn't robbed us of a win with your terrible draft. But I take it all back. You are filthy hacksers and a disgrace to the community.
Why me?
Because you and Razorclaw are in cahoots, and I want to say the word cahoots.
I had no idea what he was doing.
Shameful.
But yeah, no, that's fair. It definitely did seem like a very sort of hacksy match, but I gotta say, Durant, kind of a dope mon.
Really good.
Kind of proved to me there.
Yeah. I've
the amount of
drafted
damage
it
that
Durant
was doing was great.
It's
Did
really
you?
good. Yeah, I had it with Z move so that I could just nuke things with the Z move. But even without, like, I think like home claw sets and stuff, they're so much fun. I really rate that mon.
I really hope it gets drafted more often, especially after us seeing like Razor use it. It got, I think, 2 kills against Knots and was just honestly phenomenal overall.
Yeah.
Funny thing about that game too is all the like the reflect that was going off, like everyone was bringing screens and things. That was super weird.
Yeah.
But I like that game a lot because it showed a lot of mons that you're not used to seeing, like Toxicroak, Luxray, Durant, and I think Razor and Knots both brought very innovative sets. So I was a big fan of that game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was a great way to kick off the season, and I think it really carried on. And if you're happy to talk about next, I really enjoyed talking about spotlighting a new mon, spotlighting a coach that I didn't know before this. This was entirely your recommendation. Amel came into this league. I wasn't familiar with Amel, and you were like, we want this guy. Seeing him week 1, like, really do a number on JV and really put in a great performance. I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, I thought Amel's, was great. He is a little bit more on the Showdown side of things, has hopped into Wi-Fi a lot more recently. And he is a very kooky builder. And he's a great player overall. So, I mean, one could look at that game and say, like, oh, it was just like Chansey stall, but there were a lot of cool elements that Amel brought between that offensive throw and the Crustle set. And even the Chansey, I think, had Reflect, which was kind of like cool tech.
Yeah. I
on it
enjoyed
as well.
Auto and Irish in their commentary. It was obviously Guts, Flame Orb, Storm throw, wasn't it? And that's such an underused mon and move that they didn't realize in the moment, which is so understandable, that it was a 100% crit move, and they were like, did
Right, it
Irish
wasn't
that the
circle
crit mattered? And yeah, exactly.
It's so easy to confuse those two.
It is, especially because they're just not that visible. So again, it was fun seeing a underused mon and an underused move even catching out very experienced players, because you just don't see it. So that was a bit of a highlight for me. I really enjoyed that. Made me laugh.
Absolutely. And another tidbit about that JV versus Amel game, there was a poll on Twitter on which of the 4 games was everyone's favorite. That was the one that ended up winning this week.
Dope.
So one with like 30. I think most games got votes, but it got a plurality of 35%. So
nice.
A lot of people liked that battle. I think not just because of the battle itself, and obviously credit to JV in that game too, brought some hilarious heat, such as that belly drum clefable.
Yeah.
But I think Otto and Irish were a great commentary pair that game. Like absolutely phenomenal. Like all of our commentators were great, but I think that those two had the best synergy this week in terms of just like bouncing off each other.
When I came to you and sort of pitched the league, if I'm remembering right, like they were, I think, one of the very first commentary pairs that I kind of cited or gave as an example or whatever, because I just, from minute one, I was like, those two guys have that chemistry and that bouncing off each other and that balance between the analysis and the humor that I was really kind of striving for in our commentators. And so for those of you that don't know, a little look behind the scenes, we suggest to people who they should commentate with. So we reach out to people or people reach out to us and we say, like, we think you and this person would be really good. Assuming they want to do it with that person, then they do. So Incog and Matt Shea, another pair that I thought had really, really good chemistry together, was a pair that we, as Incog was a coach and wanted to commentate, we said, we think you would be great with Matt O'Shea, and he was interested. So it was quite... This is probably a little bit egotistical, but it was quite satisfying to see it work. You know what I mean? Like, it was rewarding. It was really, really rewarding.
Absolutely. I think every single one of these pairs was super rewarding to see, because I don't think, I mean, again, egotistical us, but like, I don't think we got a single pair wrong. Like, all these pairs were great.
Q and the other pair that we haven't mentioned yet, Q and Shea had me cracking up. Like, they like just the whole Wakanberry Ludicolo shenanigans that they had going on, into like the Katana joke that Shea made at one point. And there was one joke that Shea made, and I wish I'd written it down. I'll try and get it for the next podcast. But there was a joke that Shea made in it that no one had mentioned in the comments that was hysterically funny, and I feel like Q didn't even catch it when he made it, and I was like, oh my god, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in a draft game. I gotta find it now. It's gonna drive me mad that I don't know what it was, but
maybe
yeah,
edit it in or something.
Yeah, I'll try and... I won't do any editing, let's not pretend. But next time, I'll remember next time.
Next time,
or just go watch the battle and see if you can catch it.
Just go watch the battle and check it out.
See if you can catch it. Comment what you think it was.
But yeah, Jay versus Amel was a phenomenal game. Liked that one a lot. It's interesting because I think Jay kind of drafted one of the more standard teams in the league, but has made it to be very interesting.
Absolutely.
So, ton of respect to him for that one.
Yeah.
Another game that, is worth talking about, the Shea versus Root game. I thought Shea played phenomenally in that match. He obviously has that mono Tapu thing, but to me, it just functioned like a normal draft. I didn't even notice that it had all that niche, but, Rapidash kill leader after week 1 of CDT.
Yep.
So that's kind of funny.
Great mon. I'm a big Rapidash fan. I think I had it on my PGBL team if I remember right. I think it's really good. But no, I think part of the reason that game felt that way is like halfway through. Was that the game that Incog and Matt O'Shea commentated?
Yes.
Yeah. I think like partway through, maybe Matt made a reference to like, well, we've had these like Tapu shenanigans, and my brain was like, oh shit, yeah, he's got like a mono Tapu like their commentary had felt so like smooth and like professional, and Incog was doing this like Incog was like a character in that. Do you know what I mean? Like he had gone full like I am a caricature of like a sports announcer, and is just really committed to the role to the point where I was so invested in like them and everything else that I had completely forgotten this was like a semi-meme team with Mono Tapu, because I was just like listening to Incog and Matt, and I was just I was lost in it. I was lost in.
Well, that's what I loved that commentator duo, because they're so polar opposites in like the most like perfect way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I love in that's what I look personally for in a commentating duo.
Yeah.
Seeing, a combination of someone who's kind of there a little bit more for show, and then someone who's a little bit there more informationally. Not saying that either of them aren't entertaining or like informational, but like
we try to balance energy and analysis. We try to balance those two. And
they meet those two ends and coincide very nicely. So I thought that was a phenomenal commentary showcase. But yeah, this Rapidash set with like Swords Dance, Flame Charge, and like then Root tried to like endure Salic, but then like the Flame Charge like didn't get it in range, so then it outsped anyway, and it was just like a disaster. But it was a funny. Hilarious disaster.
It was funny, some of these games have felt like if you get to the end of a season and you and your friend have both made playoffs, so you're like, let's have a meme game. They felt like meme games, but competitive. Does that make sense? It's like everyone's playing without the pressure of like, I've got to make playoffs, I've got to have standing, I've got to be competitive in the community. That pressure's gone, but at the same time, like they're not just sitting down to waste their time. They're still like, well, I'm still going to sit down and try and win. Like I'm still here I might as well, if I'm here, try and win. But this like, let me try and showcase like what heat I've got. Like one of the things I really wanted was, I don't know if I said this in the server to them, but was like, if you can get commentators hyped about like a set you've brought or a play you've made, like that will be rewarding in itself. Like I know as a player, if I do something and I get comments down below like, oh, turn 20 when you made that double or whatever, like that's rewarding. Even if you don't win the game, like that's rewarding, entertaining people, like the sport of it. So I really think that mentality, the coaches, all credit to them, their mentality coming into this, like Incog, I have to say this. We did not tell him to draft Mono Water. We did not tell him to build his opponent's teams and for them to build his and swap.
But it's cool.
None of that was us. That's all off his own back to be like, let me just do something different and fun. And like, it was so funny watching that game because there were all the mind games of like, my sets and I know yours. And like the 50-50s that forces.
Oh yeah, the funny part too about that was it a little bit of additional content, because some coaches for this is why you should still subscribe to some of the coaches' channels in the description, are producing external content to that is about the COG experiment, but not the battles themselves. Pat Mack has been uploading live team builders, and his first like team builder was live team building Incog's team against him.
It's so
and it was
good.
This like funny like, wait, what the fuck, like this like type of just like mind fuck when he was like building. That was just so hilarious. This is why you should obviously still go subscribe to obviously all the coaches' channels. I gotta say, Razor too, I don't know if you saw what he did, is he made like a little guess my Pokemon game show that was so much fun, and we got engagement in the CGT Discord server, which you also join if you're not in it. And we got engagement, obviously, in his comments section, and I was in call with certain people who were playing it live. Like, it was a very, very fun, interactive like thing that he put together. So go check that out if you haven't either. But I'm loving what our coaches are doing. I really think we picked the perfect 8 for this one.
Yeah, and the nice thing that I'm seeing is like, I feel like what they're doing here, what we're doing here, is like reflective of a bigger thing that's kind of spreading throughout Wi-Fi draft right now, throughout like content creation draft. I feel like it has kind of permeated the scene a little bit, where we're seeing people try commentary, try weird things, try different mons. Like, and I was watching a D-Ray battle the other day, and this, like D-Ray is one of my favorite people on YouTube to watch. I don't think that he's always playing necessarily at like the most elite level, but I think that he is at an elite level of presenting that people just do not appreciate sometimes. And I was watching him play the other day, and it was his Maractus video,
Which, by the way, has like 1,000 views after like
Miraculous.
3 days.
It's
Like
miraculous.
Miraculous, is just like
miraculous.
clickbait for something.
It's all miraculous. Anyway, I was watching that. Of course I was, because it had a miraculous in the thumbnail. But like he was saying, like how he was like unprepared for the game. He couldn't really remember his sets, but he was just having fun with it. He was just having fun joking around, and like that felt good to watch because like he's such a. I know this isn't about CGT right now, but you know we can offer reflections on the wider draft scene.
Yeah, of course.
He's such a likable guy, and I have seen him in his videos where if he makes a misplay or he makes a mistake, him look like he feels under pressure, him look like he's panicking. Like, and I've been there where, especially when you've got a front office and stuff, where you can feel yourself going back to the front office and being like, oh man, like I screwed it. You guys gave me great sets, but I messed it up. I misplayed, and there's that guilt and shame and everything else. And I was watching him, and I was like, I'm not getting this from him this time. Like I feel like he's freed up. He feels relaxed. He's laughing. Like he'd grown a beard that looked excellent. That's an irrelevant note. I just wanted to say it, and like it was just fun. And I'm like, I hope this. I hope that balance carries on where we have the seasons, we have the games where people are on the edge of their seat, elite battling, super competitive, but we also have the games where people are just, you know, having fun with it. Like I've been really enjoying it.
I've been loving it, and I gotta shout out. You know, again, I mentioned this at the start of the podcast, but I mean, if you're gonna shout out a D-Ray video, I'll shout out this too. Is the TBL tournament? If you're enjoying the COD content, the TBL tournament is worth going back and watching for additional, you know, commentated live battles that had a ton of insane games between all the top players in Draft League and other players too. And I know Vepsis, Shuckle King, Mount Me, Wolf, you know, all these people. See a lot of CGT people.
So when you were recording the TBL,
awesome.
when you were recording the TBL game, or when you were playing it, you weren't live commentating, were you? You were just playing.
No, yeah, I was playing. So this is what's super cool about the TBL is I was playing, and there's a spectator mode on LAN that just no one uses. That is like a completely different layout of the game that everyone can see, and it's like a third person entering like 153 on their LAN and like watching it, and it's super cool. So it was basically 2 commentators and then watching the game live and 2 people playing, and awesome. It was really exciting. It was really enjoyable, and if you haven't seen the layout of the spectator mode, you should definitely go. I think it's got to be used a little bit more.
I was gutted I couldn't be in the TBL when God messaged me about it, just because I play football and work on weekends, and so it was just not possible. But how did you find the experience of battling without having to commentate, like being able to, knowing that people were watching?
Weird.
Like, yeah, right.
It was weird because you're so used to commentating yourself. But what was funny is that after I just played a UBL game, and it was the first game I played since that TBL tournament where I was playing like multiple games, not commentating, and then I came back to commentating, and I was like, this feels so strange. Like I wish other people were commentating this. You know what I mean? Like that would be pretty great. It's a balance. You know what I mean? But like I appreciated it because it almost emboldened me to make riskier plays because I couldn't talk myself out of them out loud.
Sure.
Through my commentary, and then that made for more interesting battles, I think. From cool. A viewer perspective.
That's so. Cool. I really hope.
I guess that's another element of it.
I really hope some of these things do catch on, and like I said previously, I don't think every league should do all of these things, but you know, for every league that experiments, I think it's fine to have another league that's quite meta and carries on as we've been. Like, but I don't know, I'm just loving the buzz around the scene right now. I feel like it's really good.
I am
too.
So,
speaking of buzz, should we look ahead to the next week of the COG experiment and let's see who's showing down and who's turning up.
Let's make some predictions too. So our first battle is JV versus Razor Claw. You know, Razor was kind of on a tear, although a little hacksy during that week 1 game, but he's a very sort of headstrong, like I want to win this type person. So I'm sure he's going to be giving it his all, but still trying to put as much heat out there as possible.
So
Jay as well.
My prediction is Jay will be 6-1 up, and then Razor will hacks his way to a reverse sweep and win 1-0. That's my prediction. The Australian, with Durant. The Australian, he will home claws rock polish and then iron head flinch everything until it's dead, and that's how he'll win. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we got your man Team Knots against Amel, which I think is just sounds hilarious. I can't even wait for that one.
Yeah, Knots messaged me about his build, one of his sets. I'm not going to spoil it here. You guys can watch the game. And was like, "Can I bring this?" And I was like, "That's one of my favorite sets." Like he's like, "But it's it's a bit competitive and boring." I'm like, "Nah, fuck it, do it. I love it." Like I don't think there's we want to have fun with this, but having fun with this can be playing at a high skill level, can be being competitive. Like, don't you know what I mean? So, I'm looking forward to that game and seeing whether people are angry with the set that I empowered him to bring. But we'll see.
No, that'll be very interesting to see. And we got Shea taking on Incog, which I assume they're going to do the build for each other.
We don't have a prediction for Knots versus Amel.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. What do you think?
6-0 Knots. Without Australian luck against him, the team that I've drafted is too perfect. He has Maractus, he has Whimsicott. I don't see how Amel has a chance in this. Yes, he has a Chansey, but what is a Chansey to a Whimsicott? I ask.
That's fair.
Can Whimsicott do anything to Chansey? I don't know.
I love Knots, but I'll play devil's advocate and go for Amel here.
Someone has
to. Sorry. So now we have Incog versus Shea. They're going to build for each other. But Shea has a Bulu and a Tapu Koko against Mono Water, so I would be surprised if Shea doesn't pull that one out.
This is where, like, week one, I feel like Incog was very kind with the team that he passed his opponent with, like, Sunny Day, Solar Beam, Latias, and Latios and stuff like that. This is the week where he's like, no, you're not having Koko or Bulu. Like, I'm not building either of those. No, I think Incog will bring those. I think he will struggle. I think Mono Water's probably not going to get a dub this time.
Yeah. And then we got Pat Mack versus Root. Pat Mack picked up the win against Incog this week. Root took the loss against Shea during this week. So another 0-1 versus 1-0. I think all of these games are 0-1 versus 1-0, actually, looking at it. So Pat Mack versus Root. It's an interesting one. They're both competitors in the UBL. I don't think they did play in the UBL, and I think Pat Mack beat Root in that game. So they do have a history against each other.
I'm gonna back Root to bounce back. I don't know Pat Mack super well yet. Like, there's another coach that I'm getting to learn about through this, which is really exciting. But I think Root was brought some heat against Shea, and Shea played really well to beat Root. So yeah, I'm gonna back my boy Root to bounce back. But I'm quite excited to see Pat Mack in a game where he's building for himself now. I'm quite looking forward to seeing that as a coach that I'm still learning about too. So yeah, this might be my game of the week that I'm looking forward to most. Because these are two really, really good coaches from what I can tell.
And I'm very excited for the commentary pair that's commentating that game. I'm not going to announce it, but I'm very excited for them.
It will be fun.
I don't know. I feel like I'll back Pat Mack just again for devil's advocate, because I'm looking at Root's team right now, and his bulky water is a Seismitoad, and there's a Galarian Darmanitan on the other side. So I think we might see some Galarian Darm action.
No, it's fine. It's just like early Gen 8 OU. You just, you wall it with your Ferrothorn. What did you wall?
Or you just play super offensive.
Yeah, that's it. That's always the answer. If in doubt.
I don't know if Root is the type of person who plays that way, but if he's forced to play that way, it would be interesting to see.
I'm going to say that he will, because I have already backed him. So
there you go.
That's the whole logic.
When in doubt, just that works. Yeah.
Just be stubborn. If in doubt, be stubborn and indoctrinated, and that's what I am.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I refuse to back down. Root will win. All of my predictions will come true, and we'll be looking back at our predictions next week. Can we not look back at the predictions? Do we have to do that in the next cogcast? I don't want to.
We'll decide. Okay. But yeah, definitely look forward to the games happening this week. We have one game going up on Thursday, aka tomorrow, and then one every single day afterwards, with a completely new commentary pair from last week. And yeah, let us know what you think of the new commentating pairs. Let us know what you think of the new games. Let us know who you're rooting for. And that's it.
Yeah.
Anything left to say?
No, we will end it here. Thank you so much for loafing around with us, and we'll catch you again next time.
Bye, everyone.